Hey, Foot Clan, just 18 days left until the Ultimate Draft Kit is released. And this year it's back and better than ever. 100-plus player profile videos, a brand new companion app, rankings, sleepers, breakouts, busts, everything you know and love, and more. UltimateDraftKit.com.
Hey, this is DaeSean Hamilton. You're listening to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from pristineauction.com studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome in. The Fantasy Footballers back again. Mike is here.
Yep.
Jason present.
Barely.
I'm Andy Holloway. Jason and I are still reeling.
Great night. Great night of television to be had by all.
That is literally why I said I am barely here.
We're recording this show late afternoon on Monday, May 13th. The show is being released Tuesday, May 14th. So we're mere hours off of the second to last episode of Game of Thrones.
With no spoilers.
No spoilers.
No.
Other than it was the worst episode of all time.
Wait, you worry about spoilers?
I do.
You can't. You can't go on Twitter. You can't watch the news.
I get it.
I mean, this is just, if you watch, here's the thing. Who is a Game of Thrones watcher that's like, I'm going to wait till Tuesday?
That's really good.
Ooh, it's the second to last episode of all time.
I'll tell you who.
Firefighters?
That's better. That's a strong point.
I was going to say smart people this week.
If you want to have a good Monday.
Yeah.
No, Jason and I are still dealing with, we were hashtag Team Danny, so you know what it's like. Welcome into the show. Today we've got Regress or Impress. We're going to look at some players last year that we may have different opinions on coming into 2019, whether they're going to continue what they did last year in putting up some impressive fantasy football performances, or whether we expect them to regress. Regression is a big piece of predicting bust candidates for the coming year. Is that fair?
Yeah, totally fair, because when you have impressed, you move up the draft boards, and you got to take a look. Was this just a player emerging in the NFL? Was this a player truly having a breakout, or did they just have some kind of fluky statistical outlier season that was great while it lasted, but you need to avoid them now?
And one of the players that impressed at the very end of the season, DaeSean Hamilton, wide receiver for the Denver Broncos, has a great opportunity this season. No Demaryius Thomas, recovering Emmanuel Sanders. He'll be asked again to step up with Cortland Sutton and perform. He's joining us on the show later today. You'll hear that interview. And so that'll be fun to talk about DaeSean and talk to DaeSean.
Yes.
All right, quick question of the day. How much do you take into account divisional defenses when you value a player?
Not much, but I take it into account fully. And what I mean by that is, I look at strength of schedule whenever I'm statting out the team. I look at the history of a player. And in my opinion, I think that the divisional matchups, they're just baked into those. I mean, obviously, if a player's changing teams, if they were traded or signed in free agency, then their history doesn't quite have the same. I might factor that in a little bit more, but I don't ever, with the very few exceptions, I don't ever just go, well, they're in a tough division, so I'm gonna skew it
out of the whole pie. How much of the pie, Jason, do you think of the divisional matchups? For instance, a few years ago, NFC West had some Seattle, Arizona, tough defenses year in and year out. AFC West had Denver, at the peak of Von Miller era, shut down, the secondary in Los Angeles, and then with San Diego.
Yeah, I mean, 1%
of the pie.
Yeah, because I guess you could give it 3 or 4% if you're taking into account that it is baked into, like I said, their schedule, their strength of schedule, and their history as a player.
Is there a division right now where you look at it and go, holy crap, those are 3 monster defenses that I wish I could avoid?
No, because think about the best who are the best defenses? Jacksonville, they're up there as one of those, we want to avoid them.
Jacksonville and Houston in that division.
Yeah, I mean, Houston's been okay, but they haven't been dominant like they were a couple years ago.
That's fair.
But that was to your point of when the NFC West was crushing. I mean, you had 3 really strong defenses.
Are there any defenses that their defenses have been built up over the course of like 7.5 seasons, only to horribly let you down at the end of the last season?
All right, is this an Arizona Cardinals reference?
Oh.
I fell right into that one. I fell right into that.
If they had a mascot, it would be like made out of iron or steel and be a really big chair.
I thought I was going to have to explain it to you, Jason.
I feel worse now than I did before.
Oh, that team was built on a really solid foundation. People who can read between the lines knew exactly where it was going.
Mm-hmm.
We're not disappointed in the slightest at the outcome.
How about the Vikings and Bears? I mean,
but that's fair.
But then the
Vikings struggled last year.
I was going to say, and then the other half, the Packers and Lions aren't scaring anybody.
Look, we've all made it through our initial 2019 projections, rankings, statistics.
Congratulations, Jason.
In fact,
thank you.
As far as I know, they'll be up on the website. Either they are right now when you're listening to this, or they will be in a day or two. And then obviously the full projections and all of the sleepers, breakouts, busts, that stuff's in the Ultimate Draft Kit. But we've made our way through, and I can't say that there was a situation when I was looking at that schedule for a certain team and said, oh, no, because they have to face, this team 4 times.
Right.
Or 2
teams.
Yeah, teams 4 times.
We got it.
You can find us on YouTube, youtube.com/thefantasyfootballers. See Mike wave at the camera. Instagram.com/fantasyfootballers. Our fantasy community is jointhefoot.com with over 5,000 patrons supporting the show, getting extra stuff like a Footcast, a bonus episode each and every week. And if you're new to the show, we're a 5-day-a-week show starting in August. We go up from 2 a week to 3 a week in July. But you can get 3 a week right now at jointhefoot.com. We're also ad-free on Stitcher Premium. You can subscribe and listen for free on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and we appreciate all of your support. Let's get into the news.
News and notes from around the league, presented by Sleeper.
So, big news. Doug Baldwin is announcing his retirement after 8 NFL seasons. I believe one of the tweets he let go said his watch is over.
Yes.
His watch is over. Doug Baldwin. How will you remember Doug Baldwin?
Fondly. I will remember him as a great NFL wide receiver who had a late breakout but stuck. He's really the model of, for people that are like, this player's been around for a couple of years and hasn't done anything. We know what he is, and then he breaks out and actually that was the new norm. I think of Robert Woods for me. He was around for several years with another team. It was like, it's all right. It's nothing special. I think, Robert Woods, like Doug Baldwin, this is the new norm.
How much of that has to do with the fact he got the luck of the draw, got paired up with Russell Wilson, Robert Woods?
About the same amount.
His new normal is Jared Goff.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say about the same amount as Robert Woods.
Well, to Doug Baldwin's credit, undrafted. I mean, to move from that to a very lucrative career, a very successful career, became a household name in the fantasy football community. That's how I will remember him. He is a man who broke out of the impossibility of being an undrafted wide receiver into setting himself up for life.
Yeah, I said he always defied expectations, and he was always open on the field.
Yeah.
Great route runner.
What was crazy you bring up the Russell Wilson thing is Doug Baldwin was always so close. Like, he would show up in waiver reports because he would flash every now and again. You're like, I like this Doug Baldwin guy, but it wasn't until that year with Russell Wilson where he was like averaging 2 touchdowns a game over the second half of the season.
It's funny because for fantasy owners, those players, when they do emerge late, we don't believe it. We don't buy it. We just wait for the shoe to drop. So Baldwin was one of those guys where it never dropped. He was just great. Now, I tweeted a shout-out.
Great hands when it comes to shoes.
Yes. Sure, Mike. I shout out to Doug Baldwin.
You talked about the shoe dropping.
No. We're not gonna. No. Your career arc is going the same way as Danny's. Shout out. Somebody posted
the throne.
The immediate reply to me giving a thank you tweet to Doug Baldwin for his career. I said, shout out to Doug Baldwin, one of the best. Immediately, the first reply. Shout out to him not revealing his injury until 3 days after my draft, crippling my team for several weeks. So we're living in a fantasy football world.
In fairness to him, he announced it pretty early here. Like
they drafted, I guess. No. He's talking about last year. He's talking about last year.
All right.
All right, the Patriots have signed Ben Watson to a 1-year, $3 million contract. Does this – they already have Austin Seferian-Jenkins, who has been a little bit injury-prone. Ben Watson joins on a 1-year deal with the absence of Rob Gronkowski. I guess he thinks he's still got something left in the tank. Do we care?
The only reason that I care is because I would have had Austin Seferian-Jenkins as
slightly higher,
a sleeper candidate, someone that you could buy cheap and just hope maybe he gets in now. If he's splitting time, I don't think either one of them could be valuable.
I tend to agree. Now, does this close the door on some of those rumors about Gronkowski returning late in the season?
No. I don't think it closes the door.
If you are in a dynasty league, for example, would you release Rob Gronkowski?
Oh,
honestly, would you
goodness.
release him to the free agent pool?
It's always going to be a matter of who am I releasing him for?
I don't know. Let's say Dan Arnold.
Oh, that's
the
a
postman?
Okay. I would rather have Gronkowski than Dan Arnold.
Yeah, so would I.
I think Gronkowski has
I'd rather just hope and pray he comes back.
Yes, he has a higher chance of having fantasy relevant production ahead
than the man who's not retired.
Than the man who's not retired.
Great.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dan.
All right, the Patriots signed wide receiver Dontrell Inman, formerly of the Colts, to a 1-year deal. I spoke repeatedly how Inman was the second best receiver on that Colts roster from the time they picked him up last year. What does this mean for the Patriots offense that already has too many wide receivers? I think it means you're going to have to wait as a fantasy owner for the filtering process to happen. How is Demaryius' injury? What guys make it through camp? Do Maurice Harris, who flashes in camp?
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait for the 53 roster cut down day for New England. There's just we could all pick 3 completely different wide receivers to stat as the primary, secondary, and third option, or second through fourth outside of Edelman. And
still waiting on Josh Gordon news.
One of us could be right. It's flip a coin.
The Patriots did release Bruce Ellington.
Oh, yes. Well, that made
with
it a
an
little
injury
easier.
designation, which I had not seen until moments ago. So that makes it like 1% easier. Falcons head coach Dan Quinn said Devonta Freeman will be ready for training camp.
Excellent.
Always important to be healthy.
Yeah.
To play football, especially with Devonta Freeman's injury history. So, look, I think we're all kind of bullish on Devonta Freeman. We took him in the mock draft last week.
I mean, it's
no
all
Tevin
injuries.
Coleman.
If you want to bet against him because of the injuries, that's perfectly fine to me. But you're getting him in the 3rd round. I'm doing an industry mock draft right now. I easily got him in the 3rd round. He's going to be the starting running back for what I'm projecting to be a very high-powered offense. Yet again, I think Andy, you're with me that you believe in the Atlanta Falcons as an offense. I want the starting running back. Freeman
dealt with foot and knee injuries early in 2018, but it was a groin injury that required surgery and ultimately sent him to injured reserve. In 2017, it was MCL and PCL. The MCL has healed by now, but the PCL could linger into this year. It's a matter of, like you said, risk aversion with Devonta Freeman. Mike, you and I both have Matt Ryan as a number 5 quarterback on the year as of today. We believe in that offense and the opportunity they have. No Tevin Coleman. It's Devonta Freeman and Ito Smith.
Jay, are you as in on Devonta Freeman as we are, despite – I know you're not in on Matt Ryan.
Right.
So correct. Are you still with the Falcons?
I think the Falcons are going to be a very good offense as a whole, just like they've been the last 4 years, but half of those years Matt Ryan hasn't been a fantasy force because the running game was there. And so I am – not as bullish as you two are on Freeman, but I like everything being laid out. I think I'm just more injury adverse when it comes to him. There's such a multitude of injuries right now that are piling up as he gets to an older running back age where I get more and more hesitant. And when I'm on the clock, I go, oh, would I want Devonta Freeman or Josh Jacobs?
What's that sound again?
I would take Josh Jacobs.
Oh, yeah, that doesn't sound good.
And so those are the questions where it's like, I tend to find myself siding against him, but I'm not anti-Devonta Freeman. If he stays healthy, he's going to be a steal.
If you don't, that's two things, right? You're risk averse on him, but if you don't like Matt Ryan, but you think their offense is great, you have to like Devonta Freeman if he's healthy.
Yes.
All right, be sure to switch your Dynasty League over to Sleeper, whatever your league is. Get started over on Sleeper. Download the app today. It's free. It's fun. We're going to get into Regress or Impress here momentarily. Before we do, I want to remind people, your chances now. Go to ballerslive.com. Chicago, New York, San Francisco, Phoenix. Tickets are left in those cities. LA is sold out. Come see the podcast live. Come have a blast. You will enjoy it, I promise. It is a lot of fun. You'll be part of an episode. You'll get to enjoy a great time, meet and greet, ask your questions live at the show. It's a lot of fun.
We went with ballerslive.com because superawesomepartytime.com just didn't roll off the tongue, even though it's far more accurate.
Well, and it's not available. Brooks had registered that years ago and would not sell it to us.
Brooks, such a curmudgeon.
He's a squatter. He's a domain squatter. He has a lot of 10 to 12 word phrases that he's been sitting on for years.
He's been holding McDonald's with a Z for 25 years.
Yeah. With a K. McDonald's.
Oh, they're going to be coming for it anytime.
Yeah,
now.
You're going to be rich and you can get out of here, Brooks. All right, let's get into it.
That don't impress me much.
Is that about your jokes, Mike? Is that one about your one-liners?
Good one, Andy. When you insult someone with your own bad
joke, yeah.
Welcome to my level.
Kill me. Kill me. All right. Players who had more of an out-of-the-ordinary breakout 2018 season, will they regress or will they impress in 2019? Oh, all right. Let's start here. Let's start with Jared.
Whoa, Jared
Goff. Jared Goff. He was the quarterback 7 last year, guys. 7.
Yeah.
In 2017, he was the 12th. Last year, he was the 7th. Well, I think we are all in the regression category,
and I don't want
really.
I don't want to be. Well,
Andy's
got him at 18, and he finished at 7 last
I have him
year.
at 12, so obviously it's a slight bump down, but I don't feel like I see him as a regression candidate. I am bullish on Jared Goff. I've got him as a quarterback 1.
Oh, announcing Jared.
No king wants to be announced that way.
No king, but this is the king we have.
King Goffrey. Oh, you mean back when things were perfect?
Wow.
So Jared Goff had a tale of two
Back
seasons.
when things were perfect.
Yes.
What has happened to
A
you?
week ago.
When Joffrey was king?
I thought you were like when Joffrey was the king, things were perfect.
Say what, Danny was good then. All right, go on.
So here's the deal. Jared Goff, it was a tale of two seasons. If you look at his, the first half of the season, he wasn't a top 7 quarterback like he finished.
Like 2/3.
Well, sure. I mean, no, it was. It was more. He had more games where he was playing great. At the very end of the season, he was a complete dumpster fire. C.J. Anderson was like, all the touchdowns belong to me. But if you look at the splits with and without Cooper Kupp, he wasn't as good when Cooper Kupp was gone. The offense wasn't as good. Things kind of sputtered a little bit. But the beginning half of that year, he was the quarterback 2. He was right behind Patrick Mahomes and was on fire. The offense, Sean McVay, I believe in. Cooper Kupp coming back. Now, I've got him as the 3rd of the 3 wide receivers. If he was healthy, I'd have him as the number 1 of those of that little triad. But, I mean, if they're back and they're healthy, I know Todd Gurley's a big question mark, but all 3 of us were a big fan of what we saw from Darrell Henderson. They spent money on him. So I think their offense is going to be fantastic, outstanding. I think all 3 wide receivers are going to be valuable. I shockingly have Robert Woods, and I say shockingly even to myself. I knew I was bullish on him, but he was my wide receiver 10 when I finished my rankings. I do not believe Jared Goff will regress.
How do you view his troubling end of the season. I know that you had Gurley injured and you have Kupp out, but you also had a situation where they were schemed against successfully in the Super Bowl, really bad Super Bowl by Goff. Is that something where you finally saw him come under some pressure in full? Does that change your view of him as a NFL quarterback, fantasy quarterback at all, Mike?
It was an unfortunate scheduling situation because if you look, even though I know that when you throw out the names like Detroit and Arizona, you think of bad teams from last year. They actually had solid pass defenses, and in his worst game was against Chicago. And Philadelphia was also in the stretch. He put up 339 yards against Philadelphia when everyone was crushing him. He just didn't have a passing touchdown, and that's what kills you in fantasy. So for those final 5 games, 4 of those teams were actually like top 11 when it comes to giving up fewest passing yards last year. So I think it was just a mixture of all of those things made a witch's brew that Jared Goff could not overcome for fantasy.
What's tough is, yes, I have Goff ranked lower than people want him ranked. But I think even, Mike, you have him at 14. I mean, it's a product of do you like other players more?
I don't like him being at 14, but he's just behind other guys.
Right, and I think we did see some weaknesses, for him to put up some of the single-digit games he did at the end of the year, to know that, is Gurley going to be 100% back? I think I agree with you, Jason. Sean McVay is running the ship. And if he has to drag people with him, fantasy points stick with them too. So I think he'll be very productive and give you very big games. I just like some other players more. That's all.
Sure, and that's fine. But I do want to make sure fantasy owners, they shouldn't overreact to the 2 biggest, most visible implosions, one being the Super Bowl. Okay, he's not going up against Bill Belichick with 2 weeks' notice
in the Super Bowl
every week. Okay, that's an outlier type of game. And then the other one was that Chicago game you mentioned. I mean, he was 4 interceptions. I don't think he cracked 200 passing yards. But if you go back and remember that game, it was like 20 degrees, terrible weather outside, Chicago's great defense, and it was just
that's a tough game. So finishing at QB7, regress or impress? Finished at 7 last year, regress or impress?
He'll impress in 20. I'm saying impress. Not that he'll finish above there, but he will have a great season in 2019.
I think he will finish below 7, but I think Goff is a safe quarterback 1. Even though my rankings have him just outside of it, when you're ranking quarterbacks, it's tough because you're trying to project who's going to have that slightly. Their season's a little bit of an outlier because they overproduce in the touchdown department.
No, I agree, and I think what people don't realize too, even with these fantasy finishes, if you took a quarterback that finished at 9 and took a touchdown away from them and gave it to somebody, 3 spots behind, it's a narrow finish.
Right.
That's why in the Ultimate Draft Kit and the way we talk about quarterbacks, it's less about saying is he going to finish as 7 or 9, 10 or 11. It's more about what tier are they in. You seem to both believe he is in a tier worthy of a QB1 position.
Yes.
Okay. Stefon Diggs. Last season was the wide receiver 11, and you saw some transformation in the offense. You saw a heavy dependency on Adam Thielen early in the season. New quarterback. You lost an offensive coordinator during the season. Last year, Diggs finished his finished line 102 for 10, 21, and 9. 149 targets. So wide receiver 11 last year. What are your thoughts on Stefon Diggs? Regress, impress?
Yeah, Diggs is a very curious case because it was, if you look at what happened with the Minnesota Vikings, they were off to a really hot start in the beginning, fantasy-wise, passing-wise. I believe the first half, Kirk Cousins was on pace for 682 passing attempts, but the second half of the season, it was only on a trend for 530. And really, if you look at when the offensive coordinator shift happened, he was down at 437 passing attempts. But what's curious about that is that second half where it was a very slow pace, Stefon Diggs was he was the number one during that time,
right?
Versus Adam Thielen, who much more so disappeared. So it's like, what do you believe here? My biggest worry with Diggs, in addition, I guess 1A, 1B. One would be, is there enough volume to where he can repeat? And two, can he stay healthy? Like he's really been an injury-prone guy. He has not played a full season.
He was in 15 last year,
right? That's how he finished great. But if he's in 13 next year, he's definitely going to regress and hurt your fantasy team.
He had 4 touchdowns inside the 5-yard line last year. 9 touchdowns, that's a lot. And he has a knack for getting in the end zone. Fantasy owners right now are drafting him behind where he finished last year. He's got an average draft position of the wide receiver 14. If I had to weigh in here, I would weigh in at slight regression for Stefon Diggs as far as fantasy finish on the year, but not by a ton.
Yeah, I think he will regress slightly, but I also think that people are – I think they're writing off Kirk Cousins and that offense too soon. Kirk Cousins, what he had to work with at the offensive line last year, it was rough. And you could see that Minnesota was also clearly displeased with that. They went heavy in the offensive line in the draft. Will that pay off? Will that actually improve things? I lean that it will, and which will only improve things for the time and how much Kirk Cousins actually has to carry. So I still think that Stefon Diggs is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. I think Kirk Cousins is a more than adequate quarterback. So I'm still fine with having him up as a top 15 guy.
I think the truth for the passing attempts is going to lie somewhere in the middle between those, because part of the heavy transition was protecting him from offensive line woes that were causing, interceptions and concerns for Kirk Cousins. It's just so antithetical to invest literally hundreds of millions of dollars into the two of the best receivers in the game, the best tandem, and then all that guaranteed money on Kirk Cousins, and then say we're only going to be a running football team.
Right.
And that's where I believe it'll be somewhere in the middle.
I mean, if he's getting 530, you would prefer to get more, but 530 attempts last year, it would have put him right around the range of 13 and 12.
What if he has 530 touchdowns, though?
If he has
pretty good.
If he has 530 touchdowns, he will be the number one quarterback.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're basically saying bye-bye Laquan. Like, we don't need you. We don't need your attempts. We're a two-man show now. Treadwell's gone.
Who's saying that?
I am
the
not
Vikings.
Following what is happening.
I'm saying the passing attempts might go down as a whole, but they're going to spread them.
They just
take
them all away from Laquan.
Exactly.
Hey, but people have been wanting to do that for a while. I was not following right away.
No, like what is
I was still
Treadwell is throwing
I was still
the ball
trying to
now?
make the point that he might throw 530 touchdowns.
Yes.
Okay.
And
I wasn't playing along with the ridiculous joke.
Great joke. All right, Marlon Mack.
Yes.
Marlon Mack.
Why are you so excited?
Last season, RB 14.
I'm going to call him my mic guy.
When you look at fantasy points per game, Marlon Mack, I know Jason has a lot to say about him. I think a lot of it has to do with the difference Mack made to the offense and the team.
Yes.
We've talked a little bit about this. Last season, 195 carries, only played 12 games, 908 yards, 9 touchdowns. Marlon Mack falls into the category for me, and by the way, finishing as the RB 14 last year, I have regression as far as his fantasy finish. I think slight regression with so much upside. That's kind of how I look at him. Great upside. Not sure he's going to catch enough passes to make him a firm RB1, but could do it.
And that's where my concern for Marlon Mack lies, is that Nyheim Hines was the absolute target master, and when you come in and you rush for over 900 yards in 12 games, ran for 4.7 a carry.
Great numbers.
Yes, that's my point, is that
he's too good.
No, it's that if he overperformed in that part of his game last year and he drops to 4.3 carry, which is still solid, he's also still an injury concern as well.
What was he per carry?
4.7.
Okay.
And I know there's guys like Aaron Jones is hitting over 5, and Philip Lindsay was right around there too. But that 4.7 is still great for a running back who's going to get in the 200s when it comes to attempts. So if that efficiency comes down, I'm just concerned that he won't have the target volume to kind of raise him up if he's having a bad game on the ground.
Not enough Groban.
Not enough Groban.
I knew there was a Groban joke coming. I knew it. So here's
You raise me.
so I can talk about Mac. All right.
Where do you have Marlon Mack, Jason?
As far as
Ranked.
number, I
He's
have
so stuck in the midst of the same guys on my rankings, which is Mack, Carson, Fournette. Guys that I know will run the ball well, but might not don't catch enough passes to usurp players that do catch a lot of passes.
Right.
Sure. Right now, I've got Mac at 17. I
Okay.
think he could do much better, but that's like right in the range.
Well, if you had him extremely high, I was going to very ceremoniously remove my moniker as Marlon Mack being my guy.
Oh my gosh, he was going to give him to you.
I was going to give him back. Back.
Okay,
You could have had Mac back.
Let me make the case for why Marlon Mack will impress next year.
All right.
First up, he's just a really good running back. I mean, 2 years ago when the whole question coming in was like,
Is he a good running back?
Is he a good running back? I went back, I watched every single snap, and I came away saying, guys, like, he's good. He's not just this Paul Perkins guy who's got an opportunity. He's got an opportunity, and he's good.
You talking about Smash Jackson?
Smash Jackson.
Poor Paul Perkins.
But so I
Poor
believe
us.
I believe he's good. Then he comes through and he runs at 4.7 a clip. So like he proved, okay, he's good. But now look at what the team did. Andy, you alluded to this a second ago. Look at what happened for the Indianapolis Colts and Frank Reich. Look at what happened to them and then what they followed it up and did. Their first 5 games last year, if you remember, Marlon Mack had a hamstring injury. He kind of got back in week 2, but he didn't play the full game. Then he re-aggravated it. He basically missed the first 5 games of that season. Played a big chunk in week 2. They went 1-4. They went 1-4. The one game they won was when they had Mack there in week 2. So when they went 1-4, Andrew Luck was throwing the ball because they couldn't run it. I mean, to the tune of he was on pace for 784 passing attempts, an unthinkable pace. He's usually like 620. Once he came back, once Marlon Mack was back from week 6 on, so it's a long stretch, 11 games.
What is the return of the Mac?
He was, yes, very nice. The Colts went 9-2. They were awesome. They got in the playoffs. They did great things. And Andrew Luck was on pace during that time for only 573 passing attempts. That's what Frank Reich wants to do. And then after the season, they had plenty of draft capital. They could have drafted a running back, no problem. Plenty of cap space. They could have signed a free agent, but they didn't. Marlon Mack's their guy. They win by giving him the ball. And when it comes to the targets, I agree. He has no chance to be top 5 because he's not going to be up in the 80, 90, 100 targets. But during that stretch when he was back, he was still a 35 target pace. I expect he'll be a 40, 42 target pace. That hinders him.
Yeah.
But it's not Sony Michel where it's like he could end up with single-digit targets on the season.
Yeah, it's just a matter of if you want him to be the workhorse, can he hold up over the course of a season? Because he's not had an NFL season where he had, first year 93 attempts, second season last year had a concussion, last year had a hamstring issue, shoulder issue in year 1. He has to hold up.
I just love running backs who have awesome quarterbacks and great offenses. You know what I mean? Like you can take a mediocre guy, Damian Williams, and have a really, really good fantasy season.
So you don't like guys like Kenyon Drake for this season?
We can talk about him in another time.
But who do you have ranked higher between Marlon Mack and Damian Williams?
I have Damian Williams
That's
ranked high.
right, you do.
Yeah, because I'm fully willing to admit that a great quarterback, a great system,
Running back.
and opportunity for a running back is valuable.
All right, let's talk about Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd last season. That's a breakout campaign.
Yes.
76 receptions, over 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns on 108 targets. He finished as wide receiver 17 last season. And, Mike and I were talking about Tyler Boyd, AJ Green around the office the other day, and you kind of look at the draft board and the gap between where A.J. Green and Tyler Boyd's being drafted, and at least myself, I tend to want to just take the better value in Tyler Boyd. A.J. Green has the foot injuries. Do I think that they're going to happen again? I don't know. But Tyler Boyd really impressed fantasy owners last year, and if that offensive line improves, where Andy Dalton has more time to throw, and they can run to set up the pass, Tyler Boyd is going to be another PPR type of guy, and he missed some time last year to put up that wide receiver 17 finish.
Yeah, right at the end of the season. What I like so much about Tyler Boyd, when we were explaining Regress or Impress, that it was a player thrust into a certain situation where they were able to outperform what they do on the reg. Tyler Boyd was way better when A.J. Green was on the field. That's why I still have confidence that Tyler Boyd can repeat as a top 20 receiver. I mean, because the offense was better. Tyler Boyd is the prototypical wide receiver 2 who just thrives when his offense is moving. He averaged 80 receiving yards when A.J. Green was in. It was down to 62 when he had to be the guy because perhaps he doesn't have the skill set to be the man.
Less plays run on offense, less opportunity.
So I am very bullish on Tyler Boyd being able to repeat and impress from his breakout season last year.
Well, and there wasn't anything unsustainable about what he did last year either. He was just a very reliable level-up type of player.
Yeah, if you look at part of why that happened, like the Bengals offense during the end of the year was just putrid. When they lost A.J. Green, remember, they didn't have the last couple games with Andy Dalton either, so I think some of those numbers are skewed that way. Tyler Boyd's a good wide receiver. The offense with Zach Taylor now coming in should throw more, so the opportunity should go up. I don't think he impresses this season more than he did last season. But I think he'll be a value in drafts because nobody's going to want the number 2 guy on a will they be good team.
Right.
And so, what's neither regress nor impress? What's like right in the middle? That's what
boring.
Tyler boring.
Oh no!
You did that, Andy.
Why do I get that one?
Yeah,
that's better than Mop Fortunity.
Oh.
I almost said Montgomery. That's why. All right, our last regress or impress. We'll take some time to talk about him, but first we'll talk to him. DaeSean Hamilton of the Denver Broncos joins us.
You talking to me?
The fantasy footballers are extremely excited to bring in wide receiver from the Denver Broncos, DaeSean Hamilton. Mr. Hamilton, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Oh, we're doing all right. Hey, I want to bring you back to draft day. We love talking with athletes about it. We had your teammate, we had Cortland on last year right after the draft. So I love hearing these guys talk about where were they, who were they with when they got to experience that phone call of you made it, you're in the NFL. So just take us back to that day. What did it look like for you?
Yeah, so really I was at home all weekend. Obviously, day one started that Thursday. I didn't expect to get picked up on Thursday, but I was hoping to get picked up either late Friday or sometime Friday in around 2 or 3.
Sure.
So I was just at home, hanging out with family, hanging out with some of my friends. And then obviously didn't get the call Friday night. Was obviously disappointed, but then hopefully was still hopeful that I was going to get picked up on Saturday. But still woke up that next day. Obviously, I was happy to come off the board kind of early on Saturday, but I was still at home, hanging around. Some of my college friends came down to visit my home in Virginia, and then a lot of my high school friends, they were obviously in town for that, so they came over, and then we got with a lot of my family members, and then I got the call from John Elway and the Broncos, and really just all my worries were finally relieved, and I was just happy to be drafted at that point.
That's unbelievable to get a phone call from John Elway. That's got to be a pretty sensational moment. Hey, you've got the Denver Broncos. They've experienced some turnover. Is there anything that stands out to you as very different with this new offense compared to last year's?
With this offense, really, it's just you see a lot more really just trying to get chunk plays. See a lot more of us really trying to move the ball down the field with play action passes. See a lot more guys, and obviously receivers are involved in the run game heavily because we got Phil Lindsay, Royce Freeman back. But trying to really just take our shots when we obviously see that those times are available, and then at the same time getting guys open, getting guys running routes. There's a lot more, freedom in the routes and a lot more plethora of routes to run in this offense in comparison to last year too, which is really exciting. So I really think this offense is going to work really smoothly for the guys that we got.
Hey, DaeSean, this is Andy Holloway. I have a question for you. How much more prepared do you feel this year coming into the NFL game than last year? I mean, what are some of the things that you didn't know coming in and things that you feel like you're ahead of the game on heading into 2019?
Oh, yeah. I mean, last year, after being my rookie year, I didn't know what to expect. I guess that's probably what a lot of rookies and every rookie says. And then my situation was a little bit different. I obviously was behind guys like Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders for the majority of the season. And then as things started to shake up and moves started to happen, things like that, I obviously got more experience under my belt near the end of the season. And then really transitioning from the beginning to the end of the season, I just became a lot more comfortable being out there. When I was first out on the field for the reps that I did have in the first half of the season, first 3 quarters of the season, it was really just me making sure that I just did my role and was obviously just doing my role to the best of my capabilities. And then now, as my role increased at the end of the season, as guys got shaken up and hurt and things got moved around in that aspect, I really just gained more confidence, gained more, really a feel for the game in the NFL and really just got back to really what I know. And then at the same time, I just prepared at a different level also. Prepare like a starter every week. Like everybody usually says, prepare like a starter every week, and then when your opportunity comes, everything is going to come smoothly to you. So that's really just what I focused on doing. Obviously, it's a long NFL season, so a lot of things happen, and I really just worried about being patient. And then carrying it into this season, feel even more confident. I'm really pick up on what I left off on last season. Obviously, the record wasn't as good as obviously anybody in Denver would want to have been, but me personally, I know I stepped in, and I feel like there's really obviously a lot of big shoes to fill, but I'm ready for it, and I'm looking forward to it going into this next year.
Yeah, certainly. This is Jason. So you prepared like you were the starter, and here's the truth. When you came in, we're big fans of Emmanuel Sanders here. We were big fans of you in college as well. When Sanders went out, you really did step up and explode from week 13 on. I'm not sure if you're aware, but you were on a 16-game pace of 152 targets, 100 receptions, 8 touchdowns, 700-plus yards. So the real question a lot of fantasy owners have is, how is the health of Emmanuel Sanders coming along? What is his expectation right now for you? Have you had interactions with him and seen how he's doing physically, or is he off on his own right now?
Oh, no, yeah, he's around. He's at the facility every day. I sit next to him in meetings, so he's obviously still been around, been a big leader for us in the wide receiver room and been a big factor still for the offense and things like that. So he's still involved in things of that sort. But, yeah, he's coming along great. He's starting to run now. So, I mean, I fully expect him to be back tip-top shape by the time the season comes back around and starts kicking in. But then, he did a great job really just helping me prepare, helping me basically just stay focused all season, him and Demaryius. Those guys are really just always constantly in my ear, making sure that I obviously in the first half of the season, no, I wasn't getting the targets or anything that a receiver would expect to get, but really just making sure that I'm embracing my role and being prepared for whenever anything does happen like it did at the end of the season. So, yeah, I mean, I wasn't aware of those stats or any of that type of projection and things of that sort. But yeah, like I
now
said,
you
I
are.
just wanted to make sure that. Yeah, now I am. But like I said, I just wanted to make sure that when I did get an opportunity, I wish, like I said, I wish I could have had a full 16 games of that type of, magnitude of production and things of that sort. But obviously, I was sitting behind two great receivers at that time. But yeah, those guys, like I said, they just really just molded me to make sure I was always prepared. Just being good role models, being good examples, and then watching when my time came and it was really my opportunity to shine and do the things I was supposed to do. I just wanted to make sure I was on top of it.
Well, we'll get you out of here on this, DaeSean. We really appreciate your time. Everyone, you can follow him. And now let me get this right. At Skeeter Mills _?
2 underscores.
Two
yeah,
underscores. All right. What's the story behind that Twitter handle, man? Because that's unique.
Yeah, so I was in middle school, and then my middle school football coach, so I used to play running back in middle school, and my middle school football coach's name was Billy Mills. He went to Towson, played football there, and he was a running back, like I said, and they used to call him Skeeter Mills back in the day. So then one day in practice, I did something good, I guess, and then he said, "You look like a young Skeeter Mills," and then all my friends from middle school just kept calling me that throughout the rest of the season, and that carried into high school. People knew me from that, and then I just really that's when I started making. That's when I made my Twitter handle, was when I was a freshman in high school, and I just kept it ever since.
Well, I'm very glad I'm not stuck with my handles from my freshman year because they're not nearly as good as Skeeter Mills. Hey, DaeSean, we really appreciate it, man. Wish you nothing but the best, and we're looking forward to seeing you on Sundays, man.
Well, thank you. Appreciate the time.
All right. Thank you to DaeSean Hamilton for joining us. Appreciate that conversation. Last year, Hamilton finished the season 9 targets, 12 targets, 9 targets, 8 targets. Jason, you brought up in the interview with him just how impressive the end-of-season numbers. We got a taste. Got a little taste. Now, Mike, you've been in the DaeSean Hamilton camp for a long time.
Yes.
Is there breakout potential for 2019 based on the things you're hearing about Emmanuel Sanders, recovery times?
Man,
what do you believe about the future of DaeSean Hamilton?
It's tough because Emmanuel Sanders, the recovery stuff is all over the place, and because you have some beat reporters saying, well, he's on the side running. I've seen Sanders running at full speed. I see him making some cuts. You hear some conflicting reports about that. But he's old. For an NFL wide receiver and an athlete, he's old. And he tore his Achilles. I mean, look at Deontay Foreman.
Oh, you see Des Bryant posting his post-Achilles stuff. And
look at Deontay Foreman, who was an up-and-coming young player for the Texans, tore his Achilles. We have not seen him do anything for years now.
He played one game, got -7 rushing yards.
So I'm very concerned about Emmanuel Sanders' recovery, despite what the people are saying about it. And Hamilton, to me, absolutely does have breakout potential. Not that he's going to break out and be a top 12 guy, because while he was an absolute target machine, I mean, he's out there like a Hoover vacuum, just all of them picking him up. His yards, they're just it's never going to blow you away because he's going to be like a 60 to 70-yard guy.
PPR.
With the potential of scoring. But he can be an absolute steal when it comes to PPR value.
Yeah, if you're in a full PPR, because he averaged 8.1 yards per completion last year.
That's low.
That's super, super low for a wide receiver, which says he going to be Joe Flacco's best friend.
Right.
Like, Joe Flacco's going to love that. It's like, oh, you're right there. You didn't go anywhere. I could get it to you.
You look kind of like a tight end.
And so he'll throw
at that depth.
He'll throw him the ball, 125 times. So full PPR, I like it. I've got DaeSean. I've got him down for 124 targets this season.
That's not bad.
No, that's great. I mean, that's what you want. But 746 yards. I think he's limited in his breakout by his quarterback play.
Yeah, need the PPR format to make him interesting. All right, let's jump into the mailbag.
Mailbag.
Mailbag! All right, if you have a question, go to the website, thefantasyfootballers.com. Click the Submit a Question button, or you can dial our voicemail hotline, 302-464-TFFB. Let's grab a voicemail question.
Hey, this is Kyle from Florida, and I was wondering which two you would keep out of these. James Conner, Le'Veon Bell, or Travis Kelce.
Oof.
Thanks, guys. Love the show.
You had a reaction there, Jason?
I thought we were going to get the the James Conner, Le'Veon Bell, or Antonio Brown, Juju. I've seen all the pairings of which two would you keep
of the old guard and new guard in
exactly.
Pittsburgh. So that's just a straight up keep decision?
Yeah, you get to keep two of them. Do you take the number one tight end, or do you take the top two running backs?
I mean, I'm not even the biggest Connor fan, but I lean towards Connor Bell.
Yeah.
I don't lean. I'm stamped in. Give me James Conner and Le'Veon Bell.
When I look at drafting Travis Kelce, possibly early in the second, it's really a matter of, are all the players that I would draft ahead of Kelce gone? If they are, I'll take them. And these two players are ahead of Kelce.
Well, and theoretically, in this keeper draft, you're going to have a first-round pick, you're going to have a second-round pick. What guy are you most likely to be able to draft at your position? Right?
Yeah, Kelce.
I mean, it's probably Kelce. So Matt in Boston says, hey, Ballers, here's my choice. Juju in the 6th or Kittle in the 12th?
Juju.
Come on.
Juju.
It's Juju.
Oh, okay. I was ready to jump all over that. I thought you were giving Mike the come on.
No, that was to Matt.
Okay.
You got to go with Juju in that
get
situation.
it. The 12th round for Kittle,
It's awesome.
that's nice. It's not Juju in the 6th round. That's unbelievable.
You can spend up on Kittle after that's Juju in the 6th if you want to.
Do whatever you want.
You can do whatever you want.
Andy, where do you have Juju ranked? Do you know? Mike, I know you were really high because I was worried. I was like, oh, my gosh.
5.
I don't want to stat Juju. Oh, 5? Mike's 4?
Yeah. Yo, 3. Can I get Brooks? Can I get a 2?
Brooks, are you number 2?
A 2?
What do you got him, Brooks?
No.
Oh,
How about a 6 then?
Yeah.
all right.
6?
There
Well,
you go.
I'm staying in order. Look,
You're fired, Brooks.
the stats are the stats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's going to be great.
All right, let's jump into another voicemail.
Hey, ballers, what's going on? This is Rick from Dallas. And me and the commissioner of our Dynasty League have been thinking about changing some of the PPR scoring settings. Want to know what you guys think about this. Half PPR for running backs and wide receivers and full PPR for tight ends. Thinking that it'll give the tight end a little bit more value as we move deeper past the 8 spot. And what do you guys think about that? All right, thanks.
I don't know. We may have differing opinions on
Tight
that.
end premium.
Tight end premium.
Yep.
I don't know. I'd probably keep it the same. That's just me. I get why you want to do that, but it also distorts the top end of the tight end position even more. I mean, there's a handful, not even a handful.
There's
3.
like
3.
2.5.
And those people win the league.
Right. I mean, that's what I'm fine with a tight end premium league. I don't prefer it. If I was voting, I would choose to keep them all the same. But I totally understand the desire to say, look, these tight ends stink. Let's give them a little boost, and then hooray, maybe they matter more. But what Andy brought up is going to be true. Like Travis Kelce, Zach Ertz, they're going to matter so much more than all the tight end 4 through who cares.
Well, specifically with PPR, you're talking about giving a boost to this attribute that is harder to predict on non-top end guys. You can kind of get lucky. You can grab Kyle Rudolph and, oh, wow, he scores a touchdown, and now you've put up a fight against the Travis Kelce in your face-off between them. But if you start going into PPR formats, tight ends are generally that, like, roll of the dice for the touchdown. I just think it distorts the top-end tight ends too much.
He did also mention that this is a dynasty league. So if like, let's say Jason's the commissioner of our dynasty league, Jason happens to have Travis Kelce on his team. If he comes at me with, guys, we're thinking about changing some scoring up, we're going to increase the value of Travis Kelce, I'm not really going to be
tight ends.
I'm not going to be on board with that.
5 points per reception, Chiefs tight ends only.
I missed that it was dynasty. If it's a dynasty
I
startup,
thought I heard that.
If it's a dynasty startup, that's fine. But you can't change a scoring setting on a dynasty league. Everyone has drafted their 30-plus players.
All right. We'll close it out on this one. Aaron Jones, Kerryon Johnson question from Adam in Red Lake, Canada.
Oh, bonjour.
Love Michael Keaton. All right. Assuming the cost is the same in a redraft PPR. Do you prefer Aaron Jones or Kerryon Johnson in 2019?
Mine is Kerryon Johnson. Obviously, I'm the Kerryon Johnson truther, but mine is by a mile. Mine is so not even close because I think both of these guys have the upside to be an RB1. I think one has so much risk. Like, I know who the guy is for Detroit.
Yeah.
Didn't you just say how much you love running backs on great offenses?
Yes, I did.
Quarterbacks.
Yep.
With great quarterbacks. Aaron Jones fits that mold very, very well.
And if Aaron Jones is that, then I'll be super happy I got him.
I have Jones at 16. I have Kerryon at 18. I would go with Aaron Jones.
My rankings slightly have Kerryon Johnson ahead.
And I have Kerryon at 13, Aaron Jones at
13.
Yeah. I don't even want to say where I've got Aaron Jones. 25.
Yeah. Well, that's okay.
I've got him in an RBBC. I think they're going to split carries as
Between,
aggravating
like one
as
guy 5.5 a carry, the other guy like 2 a carry. That's cool.
Truly, I don't disagree with that.
Be shocked if Matt LaFleur is that dumb.
Look at last season.
Figured it out. He's also not the only one responsible.
True.
Last year in Tennessee. All right, pristine deal of the day. Brooks, this is a smoking deal. How did you even find this deal? This is an illegal deal.
Thought that was pretty cool.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Adam Thielen signed end zone pylon.
Oh,
That's cool.
That's really cool. I want a pylon. Why don't we have a pylon, Brooks?
I would wear it as a hat.
Because
No,
this person
you
beat me
don't.
to it.
You don't wear them as hats, Mike.
I can.
Put it in front of your face so I don't have to look at it anymore. $68.80. Adam Thielen signed end zone pylon. PristineAuction.com. Check it out. By the way, do not miss. It's ironic. Do not miss the Thursday
Wait,
show.
yeah, are we still doing this? Are you guys still on board?
Do you know what the theme is supposed to be on Thursday, Jason?
Oh, gross.
We're supposed to be doing Ice and Fire, Jason.
Yeah, we will.
All right. Join us Thursday. Support the show. Jointhefoot.com, and we will talk to you soon.
We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.